When we look back at history's most influential figures, it is easy to feel inadequate. We see accomplished lives built on purpose and wonder how our own quiet existence could possibly measure up. We look at Albert Einstein and assume his legacy was forged by a flawless intellect and a perfectly calibrated moral compass. We see the commitment of Nelson Mandela and convince ourselves that a significant life demands an absolute, unwavering dedication to pure goodness. We marvel at the creative output of Leonardo da Vinci, believing that true meaning is reserved for those who achieve perfection. Because we cannot naturally reach those heights, we adapt. We construct masks to present to the world, versions of ourselves designed to be liked and agreeable, while we ignore our insecurities, our jealousies, and our inevitable failures. But pushing those flaws down exacts a heavy toll. The traits we ignore do not disappear. They fester. They eventually surface as sudden angry outbursts, burnout, or a pervasive sense of emptiness. Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung observed this phenomenon in his patients. He concluded that striving for pure goodness through repression is a trap. To find actual meaning, you have to turn toward the exact darkness you have been running from. Jung mapped the human mind through his practice of analytical psychology. His clinical model challenges the standard advice of thinking positive thoughts and hiding your weaknesses. This diagram shows Jung's model of the psyche. At the surface is the conscious layer. Here we find the ego, the part of yourself you are actively aware of, and the persona, the social mask you wear for society. Beneath that conscious shell lies a hidden architecture, the unconscious. At its center is a heavy core Jung called the shadow. This space holds everything you refuse to acknowledge about yourself. It is the vault for repressed desires and shameful traits. The anger, envy, and laziness you have ignored for so long, they no longer register in your daily thoughts. Because the shadow is hidden from your conscious mind, it operates through a mechanism called projection. The unacknowledged traits inside you bypass your persona and target other people, manifesting as harsh judgments of those exact behaviors in someone else. When you feel intense, disproportionate irritation at a coworker's selfishness or a friend's impatience, that frustration serves as a diagnostic tool. It identifies the unintegrated, ignored parts of your own shadow. To stop this cycle, you must engage in shadow work. This requires pulling those traits out of the unconscious through rigorous journaling and objective self-reflection, studying your own reactions as if they belonged to a stranger. Acknowledging these traits is not the same as surrendering to them. Uncovering a deep well of repressed anger does not mean you must label yourself an angry person. You are simply recognizing that the capacity for anger exists within you. Once you acknowledge these traits, you can begin the process of integration. This is the practice of taking the elements you have kept locked away and putting them to practical use in your daily life. Excessive anger, when integrated, can be converted into a tool for setting necessary boundaries with people who take advantage of you. Secret envy acts as a compass, revealing exactly what you truly desire but have been too afraid to pursue. A personality that utilizes both its light and its dark elements possesses a resilience that superficial goodness cannot achieve. Accepting the entirety of your psyche builds the foundation required to pursue a meaningful life. Simply understanding the shadow conceptually is not enough. Keeping this knowledge locked entirely inside your own head guarantees a meaningless life. Many people fall into a reactive life. They wait for inspiration to strike, hope friends will appear, and assume a promotion will happen. Meaning requires the opposite, an active life built on disciplined initiation. We choose the reactive path because action requires risk. The moment you decide to write a book or pursue a new career, you expose yourself to the pain of rejection, disappointment, and failure. Jung argued that you cannot shove this fear back into your shadow. Analyze your fear and logically prepare for it. Accept fear as a necessary companion. Bravery exists only when there is fear to push against. The exact place where your fear is strongest is the location of your next meaningful task. A life built on triumph and joy alone lacks depth. Joy requires the possibility of sadness and defeat to have impact. A rejected novel or a failed career pivot provides the mandatory friction required to map your shadow further. Every time you stumble, your reaction reveals which parts of yourself still need to be integrated. True meaning is independent of final achievement or historical legacy. Meaning is generated purely in the friction of the attempt itself. Purpose unfolds through the courageous, ongoing act of exploring your unique darkness and unapologetically putting it to work.